Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy Wednesday to you. Glad to be here. I had to figure out what day it was there for a second, but yeah, I'm happy and I'm grateful that you're joining me and that you are ready to get into something that most people kind of look at me sideways when I tell them about it, but it's actually a thing. And it's actually a chapter that I'm thinking about, okay, how can I put this in my book? But anyway, I'll figure that out later. But yes, intuitive auditioning, seeing and feeling what most actors can't. Now, before I go any further, what I mean by that is it's not that they can't see it, it's that they don't take the time to cultivate the state needed to see, feel, hear. These things that are basically being given to you from an intuitive perspective. So let's really look into what intuition is. So because a lot of times, if you're not really understanding what intuition is, you may confuse it with being psychic, or you may confuse it with like being a soothsayer or whatever it is. But it's actually really none of those things. So you ever see when people are like, this spiritual type transformation guru, and they say, highly intuitive and, such and such and whatnot. So what they mean is that they have a developed sixth sense. So we all have this. It's just some have it more developed than others. And so when this sixth sense is developed, like this becomes basically your compass to help you to not only succeed, but to feel joy, because joy is more consistent than happiness, so to speak. But it also leads you to the most fulfilling place possible for you. So it's going to give you those steps to take in situations where it feels like that option is most fulfilling. So intuition in a nutshell is basically a sixth sense data and information, feelings, hunches, nudges, all types of stuff that you get, without even really having the time to think about it sometimes. Or even saying so the cool thing about intuition, nobody has to say anything. Nobody has to say anything. And it's just electromagnetic energy transferred. And that's what's cool about it. So, okay, now we understand what intuitive means, intuition means, okay? And so now that we know that we all have an intuition, it's important for us to develop that to the highest degree, especially if we are actors and performers and actresses and all alike. So when I talk about intuitive auditioning, what I mean is you've got to feel the energy behind everything that's going on within the room. So I'll give you an instance. I went on this audition one time. I think it was pretty recent. And I literally picked up as soon as I walked in the room. That's how crazy this is. The casting director and producers were literally talking about how they hope that somebody can come in and actually perform and wow them. And when I tell you, it's a shock because, it's hard to pick up on that stuff when you're not relaxed. And so we're going to get to that a little bit later. But it's hard to pick up on that. But I picked up on it. I'm like, whoa, okay, like that's pretty intense. So I'm like, well, there's no pressure there. But then you realize, okay, there's a lot of pressure because they really feel like people have not been doing their job as far as like coming in and acting really well and making a impactful impression on them as it relates to the role that they're reading for. So that was one instance. Another instance was I walk into an audition room and um, I have this idea in my head that I'm like completely sold on that I'm going to do and make happen. And then all of a sudden I get this nudge to go the exact opposite way. And it's such a powerful nudge that I can feel it well up in my chest and I can feel it well up a bit in my gut. And I say, okay, I got to follow this. Turns out I follow it, I get a call back, Whereas if I would have ignored it, and the problem is when you ignore your intuition for too long, it just stops giving you stuff. Basically, the entire muscle, the entire sense just shuts down. So you want to kind of take heed to how that whole process works. And you want to welcome it because it's never going to lead you astray. It's never going to lead you wrong unless it gets tied in with your ego. But in most cases, when it's your intuition speaking to you. So those were two different instances. Another instance is where, I get into the room and it's like something I didn't really think of, so I'm thinking as I'm doing this audition, I'm going to take the time to like make sure that I'm not looking straight ahead. I'm not looking forward at the camera while I'm doing it, because this character seemed to be looking a lot all over the place. But then my gut tells me, my intuition, my instincts tell me, look exactly into the camera. And it's almost like somebody's talking to you, whispering in your ear, look exactly into the camera as you do this character. No matter what you've done, what you practice, whatever you plan to do it this way. And I got into a place where I learned to take the hunch. And I do that. And guess what? Call back, book roll. If nothing else, you walk out of there feeling your absolute best. Like when you start to follow these hunches, what you begin to realize is that if you don't get a role, then it was completely out of your control and there's nothing you could have done. But if you can walk out of there feeling great, knowing that you followed that hunch, and they come all the time. Even when I was unaware of this concept, it always used to kind of smack me on the back of the head to try to get me to do something a certain way, but I was too chicken to trust it. But then when I finally trusting it, I realized I could walk out of every audition feeling excited, feeling happy, feeling full of joy, knowing that, you know what, I'm really good at this and I can do really, really well. And, it just became this situation of when you realize how good and how great something is, you really have to teach it. You really have to be in a place of, you got to share it because there's so many people that don't know this, that are unaware of what type of transformation can actually happen in your acting when you're paying attention to your intuition, because it's giving you everything. It's like your Mac computer downloading programs and information from around you to give you insight on what direction to move in and what options you need to take. And so, like I said a million times, if you hadn't heard me before, if you're not meditating, meditate, because meditate is going to help you to really open this aspect of your being up. And by having it, you put yourself so far ahead of so many actors who go in blindly. And that's why the title is See and Feel What Most Actors Can't, right? See and feel what most actors can't. And so that means that, like I said, they're not trying not to. It's not that they don't want to. It's just that you've got to be in a space. And we talked about relaxation. Relaxing, okay? Relaxing is the most important thing, because if you aren't relaxed, your intuition can't speak to you. It can't give you information unless it's like life or death, and that's fight or flight. But we want to get it from a place to where we're completely relaxed and open to what's being offered. And you'd be surprised at what you get. You'd be surprised at what you're called to use as you walk into the audition room. So this is just a tidbit that I wanted to share with you that I feel like is super valuable. Use it, share it, develop your intuition. If you need to know how, I mean, I think, actually I know because I've done it before, Google gives you a million different ways of developing your intuition. Now, one way in particular, give you real quick, is take a deck of cards and figure out if you can guess whether the card that you pull before you pull it is red or black. Another way is to do it with a partner and tell your partner to think about a certain number and then ask your intuition, what number is my partner thinking about? See if you can figure out what it is. And so these are just small things that tend to allow you to develop this muscle, and it's going to benefit you so much and so well in your life as well as your acting. Guys, thanks so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We will talk soon. Good luck on everything. Break a leg, all that great stuff. Take care.